Courtney Love is in dire need of attention right now.
Hello, friends and enemies, girls, gays, and theys. I am Emma Langevin. I make videos on rock, metal, and alternative artists, so if that is something that interests you, subscribe or whatever. If I sound weirder than usual in this video, it's because I've been sick on and off the past few weeks. That is why I missed last month's upload, so just bear with me, man. My throat's been having a really rough time. Courtney Love is hands down one of the most controversial women in rock. She's up there on the Mount Rushmore with Yoko Ono, Sharon Osbourne, and Sinead O'Connor. What do all of these women have in common that makes them all so problematic? Misogyny. It's literally just misogyny. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of valid reasons to dislike Courtney. But more often than not, they're overshadowed by dumb shit like conspiracies about her being involved in her late husband's passing. No, she did not kill Kurt. I'm tired of this, Grandpa. But that's not the point of this video. I can't begin to get into all of that. Courtney Love is no stranger to controversy. Not only are they not strangers, but Courtney takes controversy out to nice dinners and kisses it on the forehead after tucking it into bed at night. I know, I claim to not be a drama channel, but my Leo Stellium can't help but have a taste for the dramatic. I'm letting myself have a little beef as a treat. Did she punch Kathleen Hanna in the face? Should Olivia Rodrigo apologize to her? Will her and Dave Grohl ever make up? Today, we will be answering all of these questions and more.
I punched out Kathleen Hanna.
Kathleen Hanna is a feminist icon, pioneer of the riot girl punk movement, and frontwoman of the band Bikini Kill. Kathleen was friends with Kurt Cobain as they were both a part of the Pacific Northwest music scene. She is also the inspiration behind the title Smells Like Teen Spirit. Courtney hated riot girls, and she was very open about her dislike of Bikini Kill. Some speculate that this was due to Kurt's ex-girlfriend Toby Vale being in the band and his friendship with Kathleen. Others think it could be because he was ostracized from the Olympia music scene after Nirvana had reached mainstream fame. In Kathleen's memoir, which I bought for this video, she gives her side on why she thinks Courtney might have not with her. According to Kathleen, Courtney had once offered to help Bikini Kill get signed to a major record label. However, they denied her offer in favor of staying independent. Kathleen wrote that she was unsure if Courtney was offended by this or if she was jealous of the attention Bikini Kill had been receiving at that time. But according to Kathleen, after this is when Courtney began to talk about them in the press. The real fire started backstage at Lollapalooza in 1995, where Courtney allegedly assaulted Kathleen. Although there were multiple people present for this altercation, for some reason they cannot come to a general consensus on whether or not Courtney actually punched her in the face. I'm going to go over a few different POVs so you can see what I mean. Hole's guitarist Eric Erlandson gave his side when speaking with the Washington Post in 2015. He commented that the band was still in recovery mode, as it had only been 14 months since Kurt Cobain's passing, and a year after Hole's bassist Kristen Pfaff's. Courtney was publicly and very openly grieving during this time. We had bulk candy backstage. I go, Courtney, there's Kathleen Hanna. You should offer her some candy. She grabbed the candy and just threw it at her. Everybody was like, oh my god, she punched her in the face. But from what I saw, she threw the candy and kind of slapped her in the direction of her face. I don't know if she actually hit her or what. It doesn't matter, it was not cool. The whole tour started off on that note. Hole's bassist, Melissa Aufdermauer, recalls things a little bit differently. In her original account with the Washington Post, she claimed, Courtney did a fake cat hiss, like a joke. Like, we're at war, kind of a thing. Like, making a weird joke in passing. Next thing you know, there's this explosion of arguing. Maybe a shove, I can't remember. Kathleen Hanna screamed at the top of her lungs, I challenge you to a feminist debate in any university in America. I was like, what is this? It was hilarious. In 2024, Courtney had a BBC audio series where Melissa retold her account of the story. Melissa mentions that her memory is sharp as nails as she did not use substances. She stands on the fact that Courtney did not punch Kathleen at all, and Courtney was just trying to make a joke that Kathleen took way too seriously. I f with Melissa, but I personally do not believe her side of the story, and you'll see why once we get to the other perspectives. Courtney's perspective comes from her Lollapalooza diary, which released in Spin magazine in 1995. It's after our set, before Sonic Youths, and I'm on stage talking to Beck when Eric comes up and says, Kathleen's behind you. You should give her some candy and freak her out. And there she was, sort of smirking at me. I dropped my sweater on the floor, and she sort of whispered under her breath, "Where's my baby? In a closet with an IV?" I just snapped. My hand was filled with Skittles, and a couple of Tootsie Rolls. I just threw them up in the air and went, and then she shoved me, and then I clocked her. This all happened within 5 seconds. These big bodyguards grab us, and we're being lifted up, and she's screaming and screeching all sorts of things at me. And I was laughing at her, like, go feed the homeless or something. I think I had a bag of tostadas as well, mixed in with the candy, so it was raining candy and tostadas everywhere. KH said I attacked her, and that I was on drugs and psychotic. You know, all the things that the Hicks in Peoria would eat up. Then she went into Sonic Youth's room and tattled and told them this totally exaggerated, insane story about how I had attacked her out of the blue and sucker punched her, when in fact I had 9 or 10 witnesses to the contrary. She charged that I was jealous of her band, that I was ripping off Bikini Kill. I laughed really hard at that one. KH suffered no damage. I barely got to hit her. Everybody in my band was really disgusted with her, as were those that had witnessed it, because a couple of people had heard what she'd said. She insulted my daughter in a very, very wicked and evil way. What an incredibly low thing. I actually had intended to give her the candy and walk away. I'm not saying I don't really believe Courtney's side of the story. I'm sorry, Diva. Obviously, if Kathleen did say that, she's going to deny it. But, like, why would your own band members not remember or mention that when they were telling their sides of the story? Courtney's 1995 Nardwuar interview actually took place the day after this incident had occurred. The camera quality is very low, but from what I can tell, her right hand does appear to be red, scratched, and swollen.
What happened? What? So your arm got hurt?
I punched out Kathleen Hanna. I punched her and she screamed, "I'll take you on any college in America, any feminist debate." And I said, "But Kathleen, that means you're going to have to read."
So if Melissa's memory is sharp as nails, why would Courtney Love's hand look like that? And if it was from an unrelated incident, why wouldn't Melissa be able to say what actually happened to Courtney's hand? Courtney doubled down on the incident in 2013 in an interview with LA Weekly. You know, I actually punched Kathleen Hanna and paid 30 grand for that too. But that punch was so well deserved, I wouldn't take it back for anything. Now, as for Kathleen, she gave her perspective in her memoir in a chapter titled The Courtney Thing. She writes that Kim Gordon of Sonic Youth mentioned that she was worried that Courtney might start shit with Kathleen because Courtney had allegedly gotten physical with Kurt's former friends before, and Kim thought Kathleen might be next. Kathleen stated that they had never met before this, and her and Kim came up with the feminist debate line. Kathleen claims, while side stage for Sonic Youth, she felt candy hit her in the back of the head. When she noticed Courtney seemingly wasted, she tried not to make eye contact. Courtney allegedly got in her face, hissed and clawed at her like a cat, and began screaming at her to go home and feed the poor. She then held a cigarette up to Kathleen's face as if she was going to put it out on her. Courtney dropped her sweater, and when she stood back up after retrieving it, she cold clocked Kathleen in the face. From the ground, Kathleen yelled the feminist debate line. Kathleen then reported this incident to the police, just to have it documented so nobody could pretend it didn't happen. The state then prosecuted Courtney for assault, to which she pleaded guilty. She also claims that 3 days after Courtney hit her, she walked on stage with a wrist cast and announced, "I hit a bitch, but she deserved it." Kathleen denies ever making comments about Courtney or her baby. This beef did not end here. In 2019, when Bust magazine posted about Bikini Kill reunion shows selling out, they captioned it, "Let's chant for them to add a few more shows." Courtney couldn't help but comment, "Speak for yourself. Biggest hoax in the history of rock and roll." She then went on to say that they suck and called 2 of the band members amateurs. In 2024, Kathleen talked about interviewers asking her about the Courtney thing in NME and if she worked it out with her. She responded, "Have you ever worked it out with your stalker?" Then stated she doesn't know her, doesn't know why she did it, doesn't know if she would accept an apology, and that she doesn't want Courtney to know where she is because she's terrifying. So I don't see a future where these two work it out. Or that we do know exactly what happened during the Lollapalooza incident.
A song about a jerk. I hexed him. Now he's losing his hair.
Billy Corgan is the frontman of the Smashing Pumpkins, and he is also no stranger to public feuds. Courtney and Billy have been on and off friends, enemies, lovers, and co-workers for the past 35 years. Their dynamic is kind of like the Great Value version of Stevie and Lindsay from Fleetwood Mac. And if you haven't seen my Fleetwood Mac video, go watch it after this. In a Howard Stern interview from 2014, Billy says he is responsible for his introduction to Courtney. Sorry for the vague details, this is how he explains it. When he was signed to a label, he saw her picture on the back of a record and said, "I need to meet this woman," before ever even hearing her music.
I just looked at the picture and I said, I need to meet that woman.
Unrelated, he said the only other time that has happened to him was when he saw a picture of Sasha Grey. I know what you are. He then said he called the woman at the record label to arrange for Courtney to come stay at his apartment next time she was in town. Billy and Courtney eventually began dating in 1991. Sometime after, the Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana were both playing at Roskilde Festival in Denmark. The legend goes Billy refused to pay for Courtney's plane ticket home for whatever reason, so she ended up on a ferry with Nirvana, and that is where her crush on Kurt Cobain started. Their relationship came to an end when Courtney called Billy and asked if she could fly out to Chicago to come see him. Depending on the interview, Billy tells what happened very differently. In a 2005 interview with Tony Wilson, he says,
And I sort of ambivalently said, sure.
And Courtney told him that she was already there. But in the previously mentioned Howard Stern interview, he said,
And you know, you're a guy, you're like, of course I want to see.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then 5 hours later, she called and told him that she had landed. The problem was, Billy had a girlfriend. Courtney had pulled up looking very sexy, and Billy freaked out and tossed her out. Little did he know, Kurt was also in Chicago during this time, and the rest was history. According to Billy, she did try to spin back to him the next day, but he rejected her and she stuck with Kurt. There were rumors that Courtney had an affair with Billy during her marriage to Kurt. However, both of them have denied this, and I think that's a rumor just to villainize Courtney. Other rumors have circulated throughout Courtney's career that she doesn't write her own music. More specifically, that Live Through This was written by Kurt. I'm going to save that rant for another time because, in my opinion, that is just misogyny. After Kurt passed, Courtney and Billy reconnected, and he helped her work on her album Celebrity Skin. Hole was having a hard time making the album feel, well, whole. After struggling for a bit, Billy came in as a friend to help him sort through the material and give some suggestions. He did not write the entirety of the album, nor does he attempt to take credit for doing so. Courtney would get very defensive around the criticism for having Billy's assistance, due to previous frustrations from those rumors about Kurt. In 2006, tabloids circulated that Billy and Courtney had gotten back together because he had moved into her mansion. Billy denies that this was the case and says that they have not been romantically involved since the 90s. He did actually move in with her though, and around this time he began helping her write some songs that would eventually appear on her 2010 album, Nobody's Daughter. Then in 2008, Courtney publicly called him out via Perez Hilton's blog to yell at him for not attending Frances Bean's Sweet 16. The post was written in all caps, lacks punctuation, and is full of grammatical errors. In it, she says he made Frances cry by not attending, and that Frances looks at him as family. Knowing everything that this family has gone through, if that is true, that is really dark and really upsetting, and I feel horrible. She then made a point to thank Gerard Way and My Chemical Romance for making time to attend, which I find really funny. So remember how I mentioned her 2010 album, Nobody's Daughter? Well, it was set to come out in April of that year, a month before the album's release. Billy talked about what would happen if the songs he wrote appeared on it in an interview with Rolling Stone. It would be a real big problem, because I haven't given my permission. I have no interest in supporting her in any way, shape, or form. You can't throw enough things down the abyss with a person like that. I mean, I get it, but that's just like a crazy thing to say out loud, you know? Courtney then apologized to Billy via Facebook after this came out, and you're gonna want to sit down. This is awesome. Dearest Billy, I love you. I love your strong and eternal heart. Even love the fucked up, gnarly, amazing, magnificent, bigger than God, louder than love, karma of the songs you write and allow me to fly with. We have once again created beauty from the agony between us. All the buried and unburied anguish. All that is true. That is gold. That is meant to be within the endless and somehow eternal cycle of Billy and Courtney. I hope you will take my sincerest apologies for all the 1,000 ways I sometimes offend you, because I know you are a king, a prince, and my beautiful, noble boy. No one will ever force my hand. Nothing will come between the truth of what we are. Eternal lovers, eternal fighters, eternal warriors. Let the forces, and the shock, and awe loose from its cages. All credit where it is due. I love you, and can never thank you enough. Your soul, and you know this. XXX. CLC. This is the funniest apology I have ever read. I think if someone fucked me over and sent me this as a response, I would be completely disarmed. I can't really tell if she was being sarcastic or she was just really feeling herself. Like, she entered flow state when she was writing this. And then Courtney did take his songs, and Billy took to Twitter to crash out about it, and he did not hold back. Thought number 1. My face is my face. My heart is my heart. My money is my money. Oh, and my songs are my songs. If you can't write your own songs, maybe you should just be happy that you fooled someone into doing your work for you. Or, thought number 3, maybe you should go someone nice and live off your husband's money. You know, the money he made for writing all those great songs. Thought number 4, when you issue someone an apology on your Facebook page, you might actually mean it and take responsibility for it. But, thought number 5, the world is aware of your lack of responsibility, as seen in the government taking away your parental right. Only you could abandon such a beautiful, incredible child who is smarter than you, cooler than you, and better than you. Oops, did I say too much? Courtney once again responded rather calmly, simply tweeting, "All I am is nice about you, so if you want to be mean, be mean. I don't feel anything." This makes me kind of sad. As I've said, there are a lot of reasons to criticize Courtney Love, and Billy had every right to be pissed about this situation. But I think bringing up Frances and her relationship with Courtney was kind of a low blow. From the things that have come out publicly about Courtney and Frances's relationship, it's obviously a very difficult dynamic because of Courtney's actions. But I don't think that should be anyone else's business to bring up besides Frances herself. Frances lives her life pretty removed from the public eye. And using her as a pawn in arguments, especially when she was underage, as a gotcha to Courtney really doesn't sit right with me. However, they did eventually make up, and this was the last public argument we witnessed between Courtney and Billy. In 2024, Courtney auctioned off her handwritten lyrics to the song Violet. Billy ended up buying the handwritten lyrics because it's about a guy he knows a little bit. And then, as I was writing this script, Courtney Love just so happened to appear on Billy's podcast, The Magnificent Others. So as of right now, they're on good terms. And it's a fun episode to listen to if you like hearing two people constantly interrupting each other and having little to no context about what they were even talking about in the first place.
When the drummer tries to sing, everybody better hide!
Dave Grohl was the drummer of Nirvana and is the current frontman of the Foo Fighters. Dave and Courtney's beef has been going on for over 20 years. There's a lot of folklore and rumors about their dynamic, but I'm going to stick to the stuff that I can actually fact check. We know they were butting heads during the Nirvana era, but I'm jumping to where it gets public. God, I wish Courtney had Twitter in the 90s. Surprisingly, Dave threw the first punch in 1999 during a Howard Stern interview. When asked what his favorite Hole song was, he replied, "Teenage Whore, because I know she wrote it." Courtney rebutted his claim in her 2005 Spin magazine interview, when she was asked about the accusations of her not writing her own songs. One of the reasons I hate Dave so much is he went on Howard Stern and said, "I like Teenage Whore because I know she wrote it." That stupid mother. He knows exactly what I wrote. He knows exactly the input I had on Nirvana's third album. Kurt came by the studio to play with Hole more than he did with Nirvana because he liked us better. But hey, it wouldn't be Spin if I wasn't slagging somebody. Following Kurt's passing, Courtney, Dave, and Chris got together to form Nirvana LLC to divide up who's going to get control of Nirvana's estate and business affairs. Courtney became the primary beneficiary due to intestacy. Courtney became the primary beneficiary due to intestacy laws. So Courtney got majority control over Nirvana LLC due to being his wife. Dave and Chris, being members of Nirvana, also got some stake in it. Nirvana LLC was formalized in 1997. I'm going to attempt to simplify this next part to the best of my ability. Courtney wanted to dissolve the partnership and obtain full control of Nirvana's legacy. During this process, she successfully blocked the release of the reportedly last recorded Nirvana song, You Know You're Right. Dave and Chris intended on releasing the song as a part of a box set, whereas Courtney thought it would have been better as a single disc compilation. To give Courtney some credit, releasing it her way would have made it cheaper and more accessible to fans. Courtney argued that they took advantage of her grief and forced her to sign the agreement. She states Nirvana, quote, could never be a partnership because it was the living manifestation of the creative vision, personal will, and life force of a single unique individual. End quote. Basically, she was just trying to say that Kurt was the entirety of Nirvana and the guys were just kind of there. Dave and Chris countersued, firing back that she was irrational, mercutial, self-centered, unmanageable, inconsistent, and unpredictable. They stated their music was just a pawn in her endless legal battles and her endless obsessive need for publicity and attention. In 2002, they did reach a settlement, and You Know You're Right was successfully released. But just because they weren't in court anymore doesn't mean the relationship between Courtney and Dave was all peaches and gravy. Dave, with his new band Foo Fighters, released a song called Let It Die, which was allegedly about Courtney. Courtney then went on a tirade on MySpace, accusing Dave of hitting on her many times and reiterating that Kurt hated him. In 2011, Courtney accused Dave of stealing money off of her kids' table.
I don't care what you listen to at home, but a guy takes money off my kids' table, f*** him.
I couldn't find the source of this quote, just a bunch of articles saying that she said this in an interview, but she elaborated on her comment saying,
What I was saying is Dave makes $5 million a show. He doesn't need the money. His mother's a banker. His father's a stockbroker. And he's making $5 million a show. He's in the Foo Fighters, making a fortune. Why the then does he have a Nirvana Inc. credit card and I don't? And last week he bought an Aston Martin on it. So he didn't write one note. He didn't even write the drum riff in Smells Like Teen Spirit. Kurt owns 100% of that publishing. Forget me, I make tons of money. My daughter, my mother-in-law, Kim Cobain, Wendy Cobain, and Brianne Cobain. That's what I care about. Okay? Do you understand? So Dave.
In 2012, Courtney infamously took to Twitter, claiming Francis's roommate told her that Dave had hit on Francis. Dave's rep and Francis herself swiftly denied these claims, leading to Courtney to tweet an apology for believing gossip. After all of this commotion, the pair did eventually make up in 2013 when Nirvana was being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Courtney told Pitchfork the story of how they reconciled backstage. On my way to the bathroom, I saw Grohl, and Grohl saw me, and he came up to me first, which really pissed me off because I was going to go up to him first. I wanted to beat him to the punch. I was like, all right, no matter what happens, we're not going to be big. That was my attitude going in, and obviously his. Not much else needs to be said. We just both knew it was time to let go, and we were ready to do it. It's been 20 years. We didn't even talk at the funeral. None of us. And so, 20 years of me getting Yoko bash, and Dave bashing, and me bashing, and making it worse. All that shit. The legal stuff, the trial, we just buried it. It was really deep. It brings tears to my eyes to even talk about it. There were certain lawyers who called me tearfully and said it was the most moving moment of the night. There were some hecklers who booed me, which was weird and off and scary. I ignored it. I just looked at who was on stage and was like, fuck it. This would be really beautiful if our tale actually ended here, but nope. On June 13th, 2021, Courtney went on Instagram to call out Dave alongside Trent Reznor from 9 Inch Nails. I'll get to the Trent part later. I'm gonna focus on the Dave part right now. 3 months before I left LA, I signed a document that effectively gives Dave and Chris my descendants money in perpetuity. I was so broken, so scarred, so exhausted by him. I just signed it. But it's a lie, so I'm unsigning it, because it's nonsense. The chaos and fury over Kurt's death being directed at me, deflected by Dave, while he's enriched and continues to enrich himself, gorging on Kurt's fortune and Kurt's goodwill. 27 years. I've had enough. I'm over being made small, and being forced to just drop it, when it affects every generation of my descendants. Nicest guy in rock? No. Which, like, okay. But then she deleted the post and said this instead. I need to apologize for my recent post. It was insensitive and it was wrong. No matter how I feel, there are real people behind my words, and I need to learn to be more responsible with my words. I am truly sorry for those I've hurt, and I will do better. Okay, I guess. So remember how I mentioned Courtney had just recently appeared on Billy Corgan's podcast, very conveniently for me? Let it be known that I had watched the entire thing before all of the articles about it had come out. Anyway, towards the end of the podcast, Courtney once again challenged Dave, this time asking him to come out and tell his annoying straight white male fan base that they're cool.
Or, Grohl, like, come out with it and just say we're cool, right? Like, be man enough to man up.
Billy corroborated Courtney's claims, saying that he has hung out with both of them at the same time and that Dave does not have an issue with her. Whether or not Dave responds, we will have to see. I had to do so much Wayback Machining for this one, so listen up. Trent Reznor is the frontman of the band 9 Inch Nails. Trent and Courtney first became acquainted when he heard Courtney was interested in opening for 9 Inch Nails on their 1994 Self-Destruct tour. He liked Hole's album, so he agreed to have her as a supporting act for 6 shows. In an interview with Details, where he recounts these events, he's quoted saying, "I thought, what's the worst that could happen?" Famous last words. Trent goes on to say that he didn't speak to her for the first 3 shows, and whenever he did encounter her, she was extremely intoxicated. It wasn't until the Detroit show where they bumped into each other backstage and they connected. Courtney said her voice was messed up, so Trent made her some herbal tea. Trent then goes on to say that they did not have a sexual relationship. I think if there was an attraction on her part towards me, it was maybe because I showed compassion. The bottom line was, I thought I was around someone who was a victim and somebody who could use a friend. And what I was around was a very good manipulator and careerist, someone not to be underestimated. This woman might be a supervillain, but also, what prompted him to say this? What did Courtney do? In a 1995 interview with Spin magazine, Courtney gives further insight into her relationship with Trent. She details how she liked him a lot as a friend, but saw a lot of problems. She thought she could smooth them over and fix him, make him perfect, in her own words. She goes on to say that there were traits of his that reminded her of Kurt, and she projected him onto Trent. She said the whole thing was too soon after and she really regrets it. However, Courtney's most famous quote about Trent is not as sweet. But Courtney apparently said, "Don't call your band 9 Inch Nails if you have a 3-inch one." I am not a good enough person to not find that funny. If you own the 1995 Spin magazine interview, can you please send me a photo of this direct quote, because I need to see it with my own eyes. Unfortunately, Trent was not the only one who was burned by Courtney in this debacle, because my queen, Tori Amos, was caught in the crossfire. Tori is a singer and a pianist, and she was also the first national spokesperson for Rain. Tori and Trent, although unconfirmed, most likely had a thing going on. Tori would reference him in interviews pretty often. She also references 9 Inch Nails in the song Precious Things from her debut album Little Earthquakes. And if you have not heard that album, it is a masterpiece. My friend showed me who Tori Amos was last year, and it has changed my perspective on music entirely. Anyway, Trent also sung backing vocals on her song Past the Mission. You get the vibes, they were very close. In 1996, following his encounters with Courtney, Trent did an interview with Spin magazine where he confirms that he is no longer friends with Tori Amos and that Courtney was directly involved with that. The interviewer asked Trent about musicians he considers friends, then directly asked about Tori, to which he responded. Tori would be another example. She called me to do this vocal track. It wasn't that big a deal. Her first album was permanently in my car's CD changer. It really struck me as well written, in a similar vein to what I was doing, from a different point of view, but the same kind of addicting, pouring out, gushing, bearing, naked kind of song. Other people put their fingers in the pie, and they kind of messed up a friendship. We're not that close now. Some malicious meddling on the part of Courtney Love, but I still feel the same feelings for Tori. That same year, Tori released a song titled Professional Widow, where she references China White, which is a type of, and uses the term star. I want to reiterate really quick. There are a lot of reasons to dislike Courtney Love, but just like making fun of her relationship with her daughter, or accusing her of being involved in her husband's passing, I also don't agree with making fun of her addiction. There are plenty of horrible things she has done that you are fair game to critique, but I don't think bringing up her addiction is helpful or productive to those conversations. This comes up a lot in my videos because, unfortunately, a lot of musicians struggle with substance abuse, but I have a lot of empathy for addicts, and I am very defensive of them. Anyway, back to the point. In 1999, 9 Inch Nails released a song titled Star Inc., further linking the theories that these songs are about Courtney. Before you say Star Inc. was written about Marilyn Manson, Trent has gone on record to say, "It's about everybody that I thought was full of shit at that time." There's a bit of those guys in there, of course, but it wasn't solely meant to be a you Manson kind of song. This seemed to be the end of this saga, but as I mentioned earlier, in June 2021, she posted on Instagram calling out Dave Grohl and Trent Reznor. So now we're at the Trent part. On Trent, she stated, "Also, this is pretty disturbing, just a warning." As for Reznor, at least he's talented, but still a creep. I've never seen so much systematic abuse of kids, girls as young as 12, by him and his crew. We all, the members of Hole, witnessed it. So while these two jackasses are not my hashtag Me Too's because I'm saving my one up because we only get one, they're darn close. Hashtag off, at Trent Reznor, at 9 Inch Nails, at Foo Fighters. I really hope my example of standing up to them, putting a stop to them, will prevent any other women or men from this soul-shattering level of personal and cultural abuse in the future. Sexually, spiritually, financially. Hashtag Me Too, hashtag Me 3, hashtag Me 88, etc., etc. ad nauseum. Hashtag blessed, question mark? Yeah, to be breathing long enough to tell the tale. I'm cramming as much into every song as I can. We are not doormats. But then, as I mentioned in the Dave part of the video, she deleted her post shortly after and apologized. So nobody knows what this was about. There has been no other further context or information about these accusations. But that's it for the Trent Reznor chapter. Julian Casablancas is the frontman of one of my favorite bands, The Strokes. Around the turn of the millennium, when The Strokes were coming up, Julian seemed to have spent some time with Courtney. He referenced hanging out with her and Winona Ryder after a concert in this Noisy article from 2014. In 2003, The Strokes released the song, Meet Me in the Bathroom. Great song. However, some people believe that the song is actually about Courtney Love confessing to Julian that she killed Kurt. By now, you're all aware that I think people saying that is misogynistic garbage. But for the sake of this part of the video, let's entertain it, I guess. The opening lines are, "When they say promises, they mean promises." And the first verse says, "Things would change when he's dead." People take these lyrics to theorize that Courtney made Julian promise never to tell anyone that she offed her husband. As I mentioned, I am a big stroker, but a lot of their lyrics tend to be really vague, aside from one or two specific lines. So I don't think there's enough evidence in here to point to that being the case. In my opinion, if I was to go out on a limb, I would say the song is probably just about doing drugs in the bathroom with your buddy. But hey man, what do I know? I think a good amount of people already know about the Meet Me in the Bathroom Courtney Love theory. What people tend to not know is that Courtney has definitely confirmed written a song about Julian. In 2004, Courtney released a song titled, "But Julian, I'm a little bit older than you." A little bit is a little bit generous, because in 2004, Julian Casablancas would have been around 26, whereas Courtney Love was 40. Lyrically, this song is sexually taunting, and she directly says the lyric, "Meet me in the bathroom," in reference to their previous encounter. I don't know, the aura around this story is green with flies, but I had to tell you guys because I never have anyone that I could share this information with. Olivia Rodrigo is a pop star who used to be on Disney Channel. Courtney's hands are rated E for everybody, as she called out then 18-year-old Olivia Rodrigo in 2021. Courtney posted a side-by-side of the Live Through This album cover next to a photo of Olivia from her Sour Prom promotion, with the caption, "Spot the difference, hashtag twinning." Courtney then responded to comments, calling Olivia rude for not asking permission to copy someone's original idea, and agreeing with the comment talking about Olivia's weight and body type. Olivia very sweetly commented, "Love you and live through this so much." To which Courtney responded, "Olivia, you're welcome. My favorite florist is in Notting Hill, London. DM me for deets. I look forward to reading your note." Okay, Courtney. Many people pointed out that the concept of this shoot was not original, as the 1970s film Carrie had done it first. Olivia had posted photos of Carrie during the promotion as to allude that that was the intended reference. Courtney claims that her cover was original and completely separate from Carrie. But the photographer Ellen Von Unworth said in an interview in 2019 that when she was on the phone with Courtney to discuss the ideas for the shoot, Courtney directly said that she wanted to recreate the scene from Carrie. I think this was a little bit overblown by Courtney. If this was her official album cover, I would understand feeling slighted. But it wasn't, and I just feel like this was a little bit extreme. And that's where I'm leaving it today. Courtney Love is an endlessly fascinating human, and I'm sure this will not be the only time that I discuss her on my channel. If you made it this far, let me know your favorite Hole or Courtney song. I'm pretty basic, so don't come for me, you little elitists. But I love celebrity skin, doll parts, and someone else's bed. With all of that being said, stay safe, don't do drugs. If you do drugs, do them safely. Goodbye.